think I am changing all my parameters to say that going forward, that promise I made that I will be giving you guys a submission during the dinner is no longer valid because yesterday I did had a point where people were couldn't get on the internet because of the busy traffic that was affiliated with the Super Bowl 2. So thank you. Thank you for joining us here. Oh, you where'd you go? So excuse me. So what we're gonna be doing going forward is that we're going to be only be screening only when we are able to get a an internet connection. We're going to be able to make improvement in that area. So we're going to make improvement. That I don't know that because of one reason. But the reason for this today is because we're talking about Valentine as it relates to um, Valentine as it relates to Black History Month. And as you know, we are not in any way, shape, or form advocating that we are a racially inclined web platform of screen, and our YouTube studio have all the moving parts to say that we have stuff like the constituency that we protect, that we plan to serve. So we are wetting the ground for the future, and we hope to be able to get involved in the present that we are enjoying and the past that we don't want to forget. So be able to get to the promised land, we are doing what we call the first foreground. And the foreground is to wet the floor for what it is yet to come, which is going to be the our area of expertise, which is software engineering company. Then the background, as we know it now, is the novel that we have that is coming out of the mill, coming out of the woodwork. It's been a work in the woodwork for a period of time, and the novel is out now. And we are saying that the constituency that we serve or the target audience that we have are between the age of 25 to 35, which is a childbearing age. We want you guys to go in and help to purchase our novel and use it to jumpstart your financial freedom. That's what it's doing for you. You're going to be able to get your financial house in order because you are going to be a fan and a member of the movement of the Ogi Baba platform, which is the Remove Pain Point Incorporated. Just those are a lot of big words there. Ogi Baba platform, Remove Pain Point as the corporation that is showcasing it. So the foreground is to wet the floor so that any external invasion can be thwarted just like that off the bat. No anybody from external invasion that are going to be able to succeed in overnight takeover of the platform because the speaker right now is very, 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 very dense. is operating on what we call the grit, the nitty gritty thing that makes things stick. If you find there is no sticky situation here, so if you're thinking about coming to come and take over to be competitive to come and compete with us, you are out of luck because we have transcended above the boundaries of common men and common women in putting this project in place. It was not an easy task to be able to have it in place. So, what we are advocating is that during this time of test, which is the Black History Month, which is not a coincidence to have had say, okay, this is Black History Month. We could have just called it African American History Month, but we didn't call it that. We call it Black History Month, and by that we are talking about area in the world that has Black history, where Black history is at the foundation library. Like for example, in the entire continent of Africa, it's affected. In the United States, based on the how much representation we have here, whether at the top, the middle, are a force to reckon with in the American sphere because the people that brought us here did not expect us that we're going to be able to stick it out. So now that we've stick it out, all we had to do now is to recognize. So going forward, we are now saying that there are people in Caribbean islands, like countries like Haiti, who has what you call predominantly black uh, enclave, irrespective of how much there was intervention to make a country like that not to even succeed. It's currently going on in Nigeria as we speak, where they are talking about our currency being in the toilet, and we don't have no currency to even talk about it. Talking about 1,000 this, 1,000 that, 2,000 this, 20,000 this to a dollar. I don't think those things really matter because, in my never candid opinion, when I crossed carpet to America, the money we had there was half of what we had there. So $1 was 50 cents over there. At the time I came in with the book of money that I came up with, the money looks big in my eye. But what I did was to make sure it didn't get into my head, and I used it for what I never anticipated. If you look at the present value or the future value of such kind of money, I'm using an accounting principle now. If you look at the future value of the money that I brought in to pay a year's school fees ahead of me and pay my rent ahead of me and had zero in my pocket, and I started seeking what to call people for seeking foreign assistance because I was not sure how I was going to be able to pay the big task that was in front of me without having to go 6 feet under. While I was struggling with it, I did reach out to people who I thought would have sent me trinkets. It was not forthcoming, so I had to double down to make it work by working, going back to the days of my time when I was a little kid, where I did find my back against the wall. I had to repeat the same thing. And as I'm speaking to you now, I'm in the same sticky situation again. But I'm glad to be in it because I'm ready to become the the only the one in all second to none. I want to be a goat, greatest of all time. And I'm glad that I did not make the mistake of having to be sitting on wet effects or what you call a lot of security detail. And I kept using those words wet effect and security detail because what that means is that I'm not I am not uh, light in the rear end and heavy on the head where people are seeking to take me out. Because as they take me out, they would think that would make them become me. So I can pretty much act like a chameleon right now. I can be anywhere, anytime, any place without people even knowing what I'm doing. I think that is how it's supposed to be. That's so mote it be. So mote it be. So Mote be. So mote it be. That's a reciprocal order saying that says that advising the Joint Chief of Staff in the Congress, he has always advised everybody to be a little bit more human. So mote it be. So as I'm saying, I'm in a sticky situation, but I'm enjoying that sticky situation because it could have been more than this. It could have been more uglier than this, but not having to be at the status fair, not eating my steak rare, not riding on the beggar's Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce, not living in a house of $5 billion, which somebody in the highest bidder of somebody living in the house is a guy in Mumbai, India, who built 555 billion housing for himself. So I am at ground zero and I am great and really glad to be there. I can rub shoulder with those guys who are in that status quo. So in this Black History Month, we are going to try as much as I can to ride on the shoulder of giants. The shoulder of giants that I going to bring forward is unfortunate that I would have preferred their wife to be the one that would have been the shoulder that we're riding on because they're the one that made the man. Especially if you are aware that I am very, very big on changing the narrative and of the man to be a woman. So now, since I'm so big in that environment, the shoulder we're going to be riding on are going to be strictly the shoulder of those who are currently living among us. And I will mention names, give credit to those who I thought should be the shoulder of the people that we're going to be riding on. Unfortunately, I've always used the term um, community of color. And by that terminology, I'm talking about whether those people, if you don't have, if you have one single blood of you that is not Caucasian in you, then you are deemed to be a community of color. But that's laudable as this is, but we will try as much as I can to say that as laudable as it is, we would pin it down to the people of African descent. And the reason why we're doing that pin down is because the original sin of servitude happened to be that we are the last people who had that brute force embedded among us. So as we speak, we are the dugout. We are the one who has the proof, and we are the one that is not enjoying all the trinkets that those who sent us 6 feet under are enjoying, like eating their steak rare, like building as if they're going to live forever, eat as if they're going to die now, stuff like that. So the Black History Month is on the shoulder of the giant. And the shoulder of the giant today, based on how smart those people are in their public perception, like people, someone like the guy who ran under the Labour Party in Nigeria in 2023 election cycle. He's sitting there now, and there's something about him. If you look at it from the perspective of the fact that there was a time where his people were ostracized, dehumanized, because they were running, having a parallel universe with their religion, going head on with the warring tribe of the other faith. And there were two faiths, and they were running side by side, and then up to about 3 million of them were slaughtered with the assistance from overseas. No, they knowing that if this assists the Islamic faith to suppress the Christian faith, it was a way of bringing Nigeria under one roof so that they can be able to have access to the resources that was available, like the oil that was coming on board. He took that proof, his people got killed, they rose from ash. They are now the GOT, they are now the greatest of all time. They have maximum capacity of wealth effect in Nigeria. They have maximum capacity of what I call security deity in Nigeria. Himself, inclusive, went abroad and set up some kind of enterprise over there, came back into the system, and he was not a Boy Scout. He was not a Boy Scout. Allegedly, there were some blemishes in his record that I believe I did not institute. He instituted it, and that is how the whole world works. If you want to become a crook, you had rather become 100% crook with nothing but crook. And if you want to become good, you had better be good and have 100% without being bad. That is how the way the world works. If you don't know now that the middle there, which is the mixers, it makes up 99.99% of humanity are just hanging in there with the free thinkers on the duality of the right or the left. The politics there doesn't really matter. We just know that why you are pulling and pushing, the other side is pulling and pushing. So that's what we call pull and push. But in the middle there is zero tolerance for how the middle there is going to be able to get. So those people are the workers. They're the one that's going to keep the hand of the grill of the system running. So they're hanging in there. So having said all that, I'm going to go back and say that the other person who we are sitting on the shoulder on is Barack Hussein Obama, who happened, for one reason or the other, to have been in the right place, right time, right hour, to the point that there was a time, and I'm going on the record on this to say that there was a time when they believed that there was issue of where he was a chosen one by the power that be. He was a chosen one by the power that be. What does that mean? It means that he was chosen by the status quo. If you're not chosen by the status quo, you're not going to make it, because you will be in a dugout where you are a good person, but you hang out with your counterparts, eating breakfast, dinner, lunch, smoke weed, do that, have partners in love, and then you are able to rise from that dust to another level where it could be sticky. Because when you get to the next level, you're talking about ground zero, and then the middle ground zero, and then the upper ground, the upper level. That upper level has what we call a populated enclave of people who are directing individual ecosystem in all the cosmic vibrations. What I mean by that is that if you are smart, you are able to hang out. If you are able to write, if you're slick, you'll be able to follow through with that middle ground there. Then if you are GOT, which is a goat, which is the greatest of all time, you are able to connect with people who are movers and shakers out there to endorse you. That is how you get into the status quo. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And a lot of people are going to be surprised to see that, hey, he has made it. But you have to know that making it, to me, was something that I could not compromise. And I had to do everything within the list of my strength to be a good boy among my sticky people that I'm hanging out with, that I dine with, smoke with, eat with, cry with. And in the long run, when I reach the status quo of that middle system there, which is a sickly situation, I should be able to filter my way through it and then be able to land at the topper level, because the topper level people who are out there, the GOT, GOAT, the goats, are all hoping that I am the anointed one, the one that is called to rule, not elected. How about that for cowboy? I've been there, done that. I got a t-shirt that say that. So Obama, during this historical Black History Month, has transcended above the boundary of common men and common women. He was able to rise from ground zero to where he was able to stay in the north of a 4-year consecutive, this 8 years consecutive position where he was running free war, and he did not trip over himself. He just hanging there and did what he has to do by not doing anything out of the ordinary. There was no drama because he was called to rule. He was not elected. I was being in that position where over and again I was being called to rule, and for one reason or the other, I've taken a different route from him by canceling myself. I canceled myself out of the bubble because I wanted to be able to be seen in the light of Christ, in the light of Erede, in the light of Muhammad. Because I believe those three people are the one that have transcended above the boundaries of common men and common women. They all died for our sin. They are human beings like you and I. I'm a human being like them, but they are gone now. So we need in this Black History Month to concentrate on those who are now responsible, who are likely to be able to make us or break us, and we need to be able to call them to order when they need to be able to do that. And they stand on the protocol of saying that if they don't do it, nobody's going to do it. That's their mentality. That's my mentality too. I don't care whether you're going to have me going on and say, when I'm no longer here, I had a legacy. It's a legendary gifts of I don't want all that. All I need to be able to phantom is that I want to be able to return to motherland by being organically hanging out with brethren here in the United States without having to have done any damage. So my boys and my girls have hung out here. I was supposed to be what you call carrying on with them, smoking, drinking, sexual uh, unbelievable things with opposite sex or with the same sex, or driving the most expensive car, living in the most expensive house, going to space, going to undersea current, and then building as if I'm going to live forever, eating as if I'm going to die now. Those things were not in my radar at all. And that I'm glad about that. So right now, we are sitting on the shoulder of two main people, which is the obedient movement in Nigeria. That guy is not an ordinary guy. He speaks a little bit like he speaks. If he speaks, you see him speaking. He speaks as if he's not speaking. He speaks in as a philosopher because that's what he read in college. He uses what you call words and semantic of words. That he's speaking and he's ready to make turn Nigeria around overnight. Everything he said was going to happen with Tinubu, the current president of Nigeria, is not different from how what when Trump came in to our consciousness, he came out of nowhere swinging. He had opportunity. He was sitting with sitting presidents, dining, whining with them, and compromising them. Those who were members of his own Caucasian tribe, that he would then write them checks. And those who would take the check and forget about his blemishes and go run for office and win. So he did that with the intention of building a momentum, an initial momentum over census, and build what you call a an image. For example, at the time he was born, his father put a bounty of more than 200 million on him because he was the one that was the chosen one by his father, who was nothing but somebody anti Ugeki. Because they were herself, himself and Ugeki did live at the same point in their life together. They were on this wall. He's gone, Ugeki is gone, but we cannot consider him as a positive character. But we know that Ugeki is the only begotten daughter of Eredenopoku. But we already have somebody called Christ. He was antichrist. Let me put it that way. So what he did was he kills his father's ran, and the father did gave him the blanket and told him, don't compromise. So what he was doing was he would have even people like those who fought for the civil rights, like people like, for example, like Jesse Jackson, hanging out with him. He will use what you call racial epithets. He will use misogynistic words. He will drive the money into the fray. But on the long run, he died and he was anti Semitic and he was perpetuating hatred. But they gave him the pass because that's the foundation library of the United States of America. Giving him a pass at one point or the other, he came out of nowhere and used that same mantle to destroy the standing order of the old GOP establishment and told him he was going to drain the swamp. The dad already put a bounty of $1 billion on him, and himself came out using the term of the only thing that money can buy. He knew that, but he didn't go there. He just bring the money and use it to wet the ground, and then came out swinging, using racial epithet publicly, trying to bring down the standing order of the only person who was transcended above the boundary of common men and common women, which is Barack Obama. Unbeknown to him that Obama was already a chosen person by the status quo, he couldn't do it to him. So what he did was to pipe low. On the long run, he came back in and become very caustic. He was what you call a toxic waste, and then bulldoze himself in through the system by just speaking negatively, insulting everyone, and using racial foundation and having a support system with those who are outside his enclave that endorse that way of life. And that was strictly from the Caucasus, which is that boy there called Putin. Like I always said, during the investigation of him on how he became president, if it was possible to be able to link the phone call between him during that investigation, they would have been able to find out that there was something that transpired between him through the transcript that that guy was promising him that he was going to make him put him into power because he knew he was compromisable. He knew he can manipulate him. There were a lot of the boys that gained notoriety in the old Soviet Union when the Soviet Union fell and the properties in the coal mine in the Gulag was sold to those people, and those people become overnight billionaires, even in a country that was a communist country that believed in collectivity, not individualism. They now, since Putin know he could compromise him, would would put certain things in his head, and that will go into his head. That's the reason why they always classify him as a guy who is out there doing what they call. They say he is narcissistic, he's misogynistic, he's greedy, and stuff like that. He ran against a woman and um, became a fluke into the realm of our consciousness in the United States of America. So at that level, he got tested too for that 4 year that he was sitting in the mantle by either sending him a test on how to govern, but he could not govern because he was helter skelter. fell short. Got more than a million Americans dying to the COVID-19. That's the only thing I hold against him during the time he was there. That's the destructive distribution of coal, where coal was turned to be so at top end time. That's what I can tell you over there. But then, what he did was to ride the wave until what his father had in his head, not to back down. When he then lost the election, he never thought that if he lost, he would just accept and go into sunset. All he did was to say, even though I took the oath to protect the Constitution, I am going to ask people who are who he can influence, who are negatively behavioral. I think Hillary called them deplorable, and even Biden is calling them even worse name now. And we see now, as we speak, scare fear factor in place where after he came out and sent the standing order of the old GOP, the old GOP, he then made it in such a way that when he lost, he didn't accept it, and then he kept going to now where he then wanted to even kill his lieutenant. He wanted to kill Pence, Mike Pence. And Mike Pence went in and certified it because Mike Pence wanted to keep the republic in place. That's another thing that I think is going to do him in. Let's assume that doesn't even do him in. With that do in there is the climax of the book that is going to be written by me. My second book is going to be, I'm going to use that as a climax and move straight into the hook. I'm not going to go into the resolution of it. I'm just going to take it as a climax and move into the hook. Because when you look at that book that I'm talking about there, it's in coincidence and in the Black History Month, which is the novel that I'm telling you to go buy or to go pre-order or to have it mentally prepared in your mind that when it comes out by the big end of this month, which is a Black History Month, be ready to buy one copy, read it, have a buy-in, sign up for a movement. On that same premise, you are not going to lose because you will have a busy life ahead of you. Call it the hobby. Instead of going out fishing, playing basketball, going to go and pick up all kinds of men as being your trophy, or go pick up women as being your trophy. Use this as your hobby and keep it on to be able to sign off on the movement that we intend to take back into Nigeria as a country at Ikoba Hill. We call it Ikoba Hill because we're going to have a boulder in Ikoba Hill and roll it down to where nobody can stop the train. Ìsọ wọn ọmọ láàkì tó dúró dúró èlùwé kíákíá lé ó parẹ́. Àwọn ọmọ láàkì tó dúró dúró èlùwé kíákíá lé ó parẹ́. Ní tó bá so lórí ọba orí ẹ̀gùn ló máa kó sí. Àwọn òṣèré o, àwa ò mọ wọn. Kí ni màmá ẹ bá tọwọ́ àfọwọ́ àmọ́wọ́ ọlọ́mí? Owó ló ní owó ló èsì ní. Ọwọ́ àwọn ò lo, ọwọ́ àná, ọwọ́ àná bọ́ ọ́bù télọ̀. ṣáwó ti wọ̀ ó sì wá yí padà ní ọwọ́ no ọwọ́ àná ọwọ́ àná gbọ́ bó ti lọ. So that ball that were sending down from the upper level from the over here rolling down, nobody can stop it. Not even the monarch, Oba Tokwe himself. Not even the Oba of Benin can stop that thing. We are aware that even there were times when somebody who is the wealthiest person in the Benin Kingdom, as we speak, did had that kind of trying to have a boulder running from over here down, and he did do much change the system where he was able to have even his child to be running the entire already as chairman, as the councillor there, and ran as governor and all that, and he did being told as we speak off the record or background allegedly that there were times when the taxation, which has never been of any good to us in Nigeria, would be collected by his father. So when I'm saying that means that we are going to be rolling out that big thing down Ikoba Hill. As we roll it down, we are going to be starting a movement that, as we know it, is going to help Nigerian to be able to go to the promised land. So I have already paid tribute to those who are transcended above the boundary of common men and common women. And I already told you about the Black History Month. And I already also said too that it is not too far-fetched to say that there was a time when there was supposed to be what you call where the status quo was to be attacked, but they attacked it and they stayed on, and now we are going to be doing what you call damage control. We're doing damage control because we're supposed to have had this thing that I'm talking about here taken care of back to primordial time, when we, after finding out to other parts of the world, we had an encounter with people at the caucus, and that encounter was the one that brought us to a point where some epitomizers, and the epitomizers are nothing more, nothing less than what you call the contemporary people who are sitting out there right now. Those epitomizers are just what we call the people who they said let the sleeping dog lies. That was the premise of my novel, in terms of moving from positive character act to negative character act. Let the sleeping dog lies, and that was sitting there. And then, as they were letting the sleeping dog lie, unbeknown to them, they didn't know that Trump was a sleeping giant. As a sleeping giant, he then came out of nowhere and bulldozed the whole place, wanted to return back to the primordial time. So he wanted to return back to primordial time, and then, as we speak, we do know now he's sitting there, and he's the only one who is alive. His ancestor doesn't matter. Just like I am the only one alive, and my ancestors doesn't matter. What matters now is that we're going to be able to take him on, head on, and let him know that he cannot get away with anything. He can't get away because he's trying to see how much he can get away with, and he's not going to be able to get away with anything, because we got him by his kahonu. We're watching him very, 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 very. We're watching him very closely, and we're not going to allow him to get away with anything. By that, we mean that we are rooting for his antagonist, which is Nikki Haley. That is people, women in the future are going to be sitting on her shoulder because she's going to be the giant. She's going to be the giant, and a lot of girls are going to be sitting on her shoulder going forward and say, what she did has never been done before. So, if what she did has never been done before, we want to be able to say that Haley will have the already being there for her when she really needed the protection. By that I mean that the protection is so that we're talking about the fact that what Oki Baba went through in the enclave to become the make-believe president of Nigeria in a 4-year concatenation based on the story of my life as my memoir, as a 40 years that I stayed here, which is equal to the 40 years that most forefathers who started the Western civilization did went to apprenticeship in a place like the Kemet and came back swinging, taking all the things that they have with them and built this nation here. So I'm a nation builder. Why I'm not saying that, I'm going to be going on the record saying that I am a community organizer, like Barack Obama, in southern Dallas area, without having to be on a sticky situation or carrying on. I don't carry on. I don't hang out. I just come in and go. I'm glad I didn't do that because the system here is the differences between the system here and the system over there in the continent of Africa is that the system here is as complicated, sophisticated, like unlubricated automobile. The system in over there in Africa was equally just as complicated, as sophisticated, like unlubricated automobile, save one thing. Why? We are at the dugout. We're not going to be able to change the system overnight, but being at the ground zero where we now know that the only thing that stands between us and the progress that we need to be able to enforce is one and only one thing. Is the fact that we gravitated towards individualism instead of collective firepower, or being able to know the root cause of our problem at the root cause of it and then addressing it right there and there. Which I personally, when I left there or before leaving there, I knew I was leaving behind a lot of slug of genetic material that are wrapped in protein substances. I knew I was leaving a slug behind. And when I left, I didn't never look back. I needed help at different junctions, but I did not think that not getting it was so much of a big deal. So I doubled down, returning back to square one of what I did to be able to make it to that point of hard work. And that's what has paid off for me. I was hardworking when I needed to work hard, and I had success story, and I climbed the ladder. When I got there, I become lonely. So, but I took the trinket that was available to me there and haul ASS. to the promise to the known to another land. Say, love me to another land. You move me to another land. So you move me to another land. So I moved to another land and I came here only to go back to square one and find out that the history month or the love that we are celebrating today during this Valentine month, where Valentine month, the um, the Super Bowl came in at the same time, the Black History Month came at the same time. It's not a coincidence. It is what it is, and it is what something to for us to know that we need to be able to stay connected and know that women, people of African descendants, and people of LGBT and people of who are enthusiasts of science, technology, engineering, and math need to be protected from themselves. Because if you don't protect them from themselves, something big is going to happen where you will be very, 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 very surprised what can happen. Anything can happen. And at the point where we are right now, the condition we are in Nigeria, the only thing that can save us is to return back to square one when before our science, technology, engineering, arts, and math was taken from us and then shipped into another part of the world and then locked up in the vault without protecting it and telling those who are individualistically prone to their own religious biases that it was about them, that the ice creator doesn't stink, and those people are being manipulated, and those people would make promises when they are running for political office, and when they get to that place, they find out that they can't do anything because they have already compromised themselves. Whether they were certificate forgers, whether they were corrupt, whether they were they were too far to the right that they have even left the system that they thought they were going to be able to protect. They're not interested in draining the swamp because they want to keep the status quo of what has not worked time and over again. So we're going to be celebrating this, what they call it, the, what they call it, the Black History Month. By all stretch of imagination, we're going to be celebrating. We're not going to. We're going to try to stay positive and say that our future is bright. All we had to do was turn down the source, we put up what you call a sunshade so that we don't go have a flare coming in. What you call that? What I mean by flare, something that will come in and then destroy our coming and then send what you call uh, a laser flare into our eyes that can burn you up. The sun that can burn you up. So today is the unity in the heritage and Black history love. That is the title. I'm about to make that correction. So unity in heritage symbolizes the shared history, while Black history love, in quote and unquote, is combine the celebration of Black History Month with the spirit of love, acknowledging both the Black History Month and the Valentine Day. That's the gist of the story. So it goes to embrace the history, what you call embrace history finale. We're calling you guys to help us to make a difference by the end of the month when our novel will be out and when it comes out, it will be on Amazon. We are hoping that we would have been able to have what you call a platform set up and all that. I am doing this by myself because I'm going to come across as one of the forefathers who will be able to turn the tide. Because the tide, time and tide, wait for no man. It will be too late to cry when the head is already off. So I'm going to be the one. If I don't do it, nobody will do it. So the future holds a brilliantly bright path for us all, filled with opportunity and endless possibility. It is not going to be easy because if you look at the entire terrain, this is to empower voice, a journey to the promised land. We are calling you to join hands with us on this special Black History Month tribute as we ignite the flame of empowerment of people of African descent. That's a mouthful right there, but we know what that is saying. Let's explore the way to uplift women and ourselves, creating a powerful path to the promised land. This conversation will be shared, and I've already shared them in YouTube all along as the wetting of the ground, what I call the foreground, and the background is software engineering. The foreground is the last step to be able to get to the level of abstraction. And what I mean is that the foreground is where we never thought we're ever going to ever be. I thought I could just snap my finger and I would be helping Nigeria out to be able to get out of the back house in terms of their technological need by transferring back what I have learned here as a technologist, as a nuclear scientist, as a programmer, as an architect, as a developer. So we are going to be creating a powerful path to promised land. This will be shared on YouTube, it will be shared on Podbean, ensuring a widespread impact. Together, let's celebrate our strength and resilience and the unity of the journey towards a brighter future. That's a big one, too. There are key points that we're going to be thinking about. Those are the key points is the significance of Black History Month. Sales of our novel is not, and I repeat, it's not debatable. After you buy the book, get a buy-in on it, you get involved in the schematic of the movement, no matter what pain point you have, or no matter what the corporate environment in which you find yourself, no matter how much you have got your eye visited on money, what you don't realize is that no matter how much money you have, it's only in the bank. You can't carry your money with you in the suitcase and start carrying it around. So this is how much I have. It's only sitting in your bank, and that's all what you are protecting. And it's only what it can buy, nothing more, nothing less. We are going to be emphasizing empowerment and unity amongst people of African descent. We're going to discuss practical ways to support and uplift women in the community, contrary to the standing protocol of men looking at women from the angle that they are being misogynistically without knowing, and then they go in, and the women are sitting there with an embodiment, and the men are sitting there with a misogynistic outfit, and then go into procreation, hoping that after procreation they will be able to make a mouth to mouth tape to become a mouth heel. only to find out that they are in the doghouse. I'm glad I didn't have no children. That's the only thing I can tell you. And if I do have them, I am not going to be violent or be abusive or taking all those strenuous step of having what you call a boondaggle. You are doing, you don't want to talk to this one doesn't talk to you, this one doesn't like you, this one likes you, and stuff like that. Those are dumb stuff. We are going to encourage viewers to listen to actively to participate in the conversation, sharing their thoughts and their experience on this platform. We will do more from the angle of the fact that the speaker already have a data state, it has data, and that data is going to try to exploit it from only and only one angle. He's going to send what you call personalized trinkets to individual so that they can whip up the buying of the novel, and they can now sign up onto the movement, and they will be able to have a wealth effect, not at a level of extraordinary. They'll be able to have what you call duty, what they call security duty, not at the level of extraordinary, but they will have some. I'm the one who's going to need the overwhelming duty, security duty. I'm the only one who will want to institute a lot of weight effect because I'm looking at setting up a hedge fund, because that's what's going to make me the hegemonious exceptionalist, which I was already part of growing up, getting back to the primordial time. We're going to be empowering voices, a journey to the promised land. And the subtitle is going to be Celebrating Black History Month. Greetings from the high mountain of the land where people are important. Welcome. Welcome to my world. Welcome to TalkNet. We talk to you about you, your hope, your ambitions, and those things that make you incredibly special. I want to thank you guys. I want to return back to saying that this month we wanted to make it the best month because we want to be able to buy that novel. I want to be able to send trinkets to us by sending us some of those love things. I don't know how that is going to work, but if you all don't even want to do anything, you can just get 25% out of the bag on the book. So we are challenging the diasporans. And the diasporans are in four categories. There are primary diasporans that did find out, that came not engage their personal, which they came in as merchants into the foreign land, like far into the Siberia, Hispaniola, Australia, the subcontinent, and the Oceanias. They all came out into the American countries. So they got contact with them. And then when people saw how smart they were, they wanted to find out the source of how they became the world. That's when they went back there and threw the women under the bus there because that was the god of that time. They came back to come back into Europe, and Europe then came in and formed this newfound land where we are currently at, and they then doubled down on color of skin, money being the root of all evil, and pursue profit in terms of what we now call the back. We build this country. We say we build this country. We build this country on our back. We know that. So our achievement is based on the resilience to which we have enthused. The practical, tangible way step to supporting, uplifting women is nothing more than telling them that we know that they're full of milk of human kindness. And we're going to try to mentor each other, especially the young girls who are between the age of 13, 14, 15, who are our weakness, and we're going to try to mentor them so that we can have them come up and support their future siblings who are in their 25 to 35 that are of childbearing age that are called the special population, who we do know and we have told them that they should be very, 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 very open to exploiting what attention deficit disorder will bring to their shore. It doesn't have no genetic testing at this point. If you have a child and the child is whether a boy or girl, and you see that there are what you call symptom of that, you may have been you that may have caused the issue by you smoking weed, drinking like pot, you are having what you call on being sexual explicit, have sex with somebody that brought the child to this world, and then saying that I want to spend, I don't want to be in a monogamous relationship. I want to go travel. I want to travel. I want to go to see things after you already got committed where there's a child. Instead of having the child to be your first, um, your only thing that you should be thinking about, having a child first, you're having yourself first because you want to go do things, and most of the things that you're talking about are all a bunch of boondoggle. We are calling everybody to action in terms of buying the book. We're not going to shy away from that. That's the most important thing. And sending us money to make sure that we have what you call a hedge fund in place where if anyone needs money of people of African descent, we will be able to write them a check. So we'll be providing indigent scholarship. We'll be providing money for scholar for anything. So we're really calling for the few people who have already have success story and they are sitting on the pile of cash to help us to finance this project. So we're really calling for women of people of African descent globally to help us with this project to be able to, because we need money. And I regret to say that because I didn't really care about money. So that's about it. Time just went by fast, and we've been glad. And I want to thank everybody for listening. And I want to remind you guys that the whole thing has been a pleasure, and we are looking forward to other things that we will be doing. On behalf of my colleagues at the distro, I want to thank you guys. Love conquers everything, just like labor conquers everything. I thank you.